Fanboy Modeling School.
We gotta talk about the tragic take on Chris Pratt, right? And this is, but let me make my case here, right? This is why I'm glad that we joined up to do this this show.
And before you start though, I will say the reason I made that face is like not against the topic. I love the topic. It just stresses me out. Like all the stuff I've seen like in social media, it's like literally giving me night terrors or whatever. So anyway, continue.
So here's my thing. I'm gonna try to make a legible argument in favor of Chris Pratt, but not to diminish anyone else's view. If you do somehow feel diminished or feel as though you're being disrespected, it has very little to do with me because I'm not going to use any disrespectful terms in this argument. So this is the problem, right? So we have Chris Pratt. In the world, in the scheme of Christianity, Chris Pratt, at best, would be considered not a lukewarm Christian, but he would be considered more of a feel-good Christian, right? He's a guy that isn't going to bring you to the harder parts of the scripture, right? He's going to wait a few years before he tackles that stuff with you. Chris Pratt is a guy who apparently loves his family, he loves life, and he loves his craft.
Yeah, he's a faith alone dude. Faith alone.
Yeah, he's a faith. Listen, now wait, hey, well, hold on for a second. Now we can get that's for another podcast if we're gonna debate. Okay. If we're gonna debate faith alone. Because you almost triggered me right there. I do believe that it's faith alone, but faith in produces works because of your relationship with God.
Okay.
But here's the thing, right? So Chris Pratt is the type of guy. He goes to Hillsong Church. He believes he goes to Hillsong LA. If you've never been to a Hillsong service before, I know it's easy to disparage these people, and it's easy for me to kick them while I'm down too. They're they're those Christians. They're very touchy-feely. They're very emotive. They tell people that they love them. They want to pray with you constantly. They're that group of Christians.
I am personally that type of Christian, but my church is not. They're like, yo, yo, get away from me.
Don't touch me.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the thing. Here's another thing about Chris Pratt. You would be hard pressed to find him say anything political, right? He's the type of guy, and I don't think it's because he doesn't have a political opinion. I think he's the type of guy who recognizes the position that he's in, right? On top of being a believer, he makes movies that are contrary, or some people might consider antithetical to his belief structure, but he still makes them, right? There are people who've attacked him on that side, right?
I don't believe that though.
You run into the wrong group of people and you ask them about dinosaurs, they're definitely going to throw a Bible at you.
Right. But I would actually say that action heroes, taking the law into their own hands and like doing stuff like that or killing aliens or something is very biblical, and it's very Old Testament.
Yeah, listen.
And so you know what I'm saying, because the flawed people of the flawed believers of the Old Testament, they were killing their way to salvation.
No, amen, brother. So here's the thing about Chris Pratt. You're never going to hear him say anything political. He's also never going to say anything that's going to hurt anyone's feelings. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. He's the type of guy who seems very measured in his approach and wants to convey love. And I think that's a sincere thing that's coming from him. The problem is, poor Chris, you're not in that type of world, right? You are surrounded.
Not in America. It's 2020.
You are surrounded by people who are looking for newer and bigger ways to be offended. And there are things in this world that can actually be offensive. I am not the guy to tell you that systematic racism doesn't exist. I can say that I have somewhere to stand in that argument because I believe in evil. And I believe that evil systems do rule this world. You want to get into a deeper debate about that? Hit me up on the side. Chris Pratt, on the other hand, is the type of guy who will definitely say, I will pray for you, right? And I know what that means when someone says, it means I don't have the answer. I can't change your thoughts on this. I can't change your feelings, and I'm not willing to debate you for whatever reasons. I love you. I'm going to pray for you. Not in 2020 America. So for all his nice guy, I don't even want to disrespect him that way. For the type of guy that he is, man, after going through his divorce, finding love again in life, that's another topic up for debate and discussion. He has done nothing but try to lead with the good foot and the good word. He's, when Kevin Smith was sick, Chris Pratt was one of the first celebrities to come out on Twitter and not say, well wishes, positive thoughts. He's like, I am praying for you. Will you guys all pray for healing for Kevin Smith? A lot of people got offended by that. I mean, like a lot of people. There were people, instead of like praying for Kevin Smith, they were attacking Chris Pratt. The church he goes to, Hillsong, was caught up in some controversy because the lead pastor from Manhattan was on Oprah, and she basically pinned him, as Oprah usually does. She was like, we need to talk about homosexuality, same-sex marriage. Where do you stand on this? And he said unequivocally what he said and what he believes, and what he believes the Bible teaches and what the Bible teaches. And then, so that translates to Chris Pratt, who has never said anything like that. And people are just, they're coming after him, dude. Like, they're absolutely coming. Like, the amount of venom this guy gets on the internet, like, one person actually called him a hate monger, and I wanted to retweet that and be like, this is clearly a person doesn't know what the word hate monger means, right? A hate monger is literally the Westboro Baptist Church. That is a member of the Westboro Baptist Church.
Well said, well said.
That's someone who's out there dropping F-bombs, all bombs, every bomb, all day long. This guy's never going to say anything controversial, man. He's not even defending himself. He's literally telling people, he's like, I love you, I'm sorry we're having this disagreement. Go ahead.
And it's totally insane, because usually people get canceled for doing something, like saying something, like they say something insensitive or something. Like, the director of New Mutants, remember what he said about, do you know about this controversy?
No, what happened?
Oh, he got destroyed. So, in New Mutants, this is a quick sidebar. People, don't worry, we haven't gotten off Chris Pratt. So the director of New Mutants, he cast a light skin Spanish man instead of a dark skin. And in actually Sunspot's storyline, it's very important that he's dark skinned because he's discriminated about it in his own country.
Right.
So when they asked, but he's also, the whole thing is his father's like a millionaire, and it's an important part of Roberto da Costa's storyline that his father's rich. So they asked him, they're like, why did you go with the lighter skinned actor? And he said, well, I wanted him to be believably rich. I wanted people to believe that he was rich. People are saying he's never going to work again, that dude. Because saying that, and I'm not saying that's the only thing he said, but the fact that he felt he was totally comfortable in the interview to say that is totally insane.
It would have been great if he said it. He's like, I want him to be believably rich. And also, he just starts.
Well, I have another theory. I think the director was banging that dude or something. Like, because he's the actor's very, very good looking and known for his like physique. And there's a lot of like he's the only character in New Mutants that's sexualized. Even Anna Taylor-Joy, who played Magic, who is a sex pot and is a model in real life, is not sexualized in that movie. The only person who has like skin time or whatever is that dude. And I was like,
well,
the director's banging him.
that could very well be true, but what's Colossus' sister name? Ileana.
Magic, that Magic. That's Ileana.
Yeah, she it's the whole sex trade thing. They probably couldn't touch that. That's the only thing.
No, they do in New Mutants.
They really?
They talk about it. They do, yeah.
Oh my god.
They do. And so when I'm saying they get into it, but I'm like, she's sexualized less than him, definitely, by far. But anyway, that's neither here nor. But going back to Pratt, I'm saying at least that director said something to get canceled.
Right.
He said something stupid. They do something stupid. This dude did nothing. What happened is that I forget what it was, but some magazine on Twitter put up a poll: who is the best Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, Chris Hemsworth, or I don't remember them all. So, and then like people, instead of talking about who the best was, they started talking about who the worst was, and they're like, and LBGT people were like, the worst one is Pratt. He's a horrible, and somehow it snowballed for 2 days straight of trending that he was a scumbag and a lowlife and all this stuff. And so my argument is not that I'm going to defend him or his carefree attitude or that he loves his wife or that he loves his kids or anything. My argument is it is nobody's business what you are about in your personal life. And I understand that when you're a celebrity, you're living a public life.
Right.
But like you have to explain everything. Like let's say you buy water and that water is from a country that is run by a dictator or something. You now have to explain it. Let's say you go to the movie Mulan. They're like, well, Mulan was filmed in a country that has concentration camps. You're a bad person now. We don't have to explain these things. And the people who demand it, all these Twitter mobs and stuff who are demanding it, they are psychopaths for thinking that they are owed an explanation for anything that he does. So even though he's not publicly being an idiot, just because he goes to a church that is homophobic, and don't get me wrong, I mean, you and me are Christians. We know what it's like to go to a church and what their stances on things are. Does not mean you should be canceled by a mob who constantly is harassing you to the end of days. And like, I find it insane when I see like YouTubers or personalities who are women.
Right.
And they always complain about how they're harassed online. And it's unfair that people harass them endlessly. And they take the side of a Twitter mob. Either it's against him or let's say it's against J.K. Rowling or something. They're bad people. That is the same thing. These people are being harassed for no reason. Dude. You have a right as a woman to not be harassed online. He has a right to live his life and not explain himself to trolls.
No, dude, here's the crazy thing about it, right? So the people that would attack Chris Pratt are doing the very same thing, and this is the bugged out part, right? This is the friggin' Tyler Durden, Kaiser Soze moment, and I'm going to try to keep it together. The very same people that attack him, who say he's being intolerant, you have no evidence of it, but you accuse him of being intolerant, accuse him of being a hate monger, accuse him of being a slanderer, are doing the exact same things they're accusing him of. Let me point out an inconsistency to you, right? It is easier, and I challenge you, debate me in the comment section. It's easier for your common internet SJW troll. And this is not even that type of channel, right? There are channels that I will deal with that later. I have words for those conservative channels that just spend their days bashing on poor and unintelligent SJWs. You guys are dicks too. And you know you are. And we'll get to that later, right? But so there are people who would attack Chris Pratt over this, but I guarantee you don't have the balls to walk into a mosque or say to a believing Muslim that they are a hate monger because you've either never read the Quran, right? Or you don't know the stance and the hadiths and the Quran on these very subjects, right? But you invite Linda Sassoon to your woman's march. Friggin' insane, dude.
Oh my God. This is well said. This one's for the history.
Friggin' insane. Friggin' insane. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And what you're saying, well, for starters, one of the things about the problem with the internet culture is that everyone gains internet balls.
Right.
So when I was in college, you know how you have a group, when you go off to college, you have a first group of friends.
Yeah.
And they don't really, and they're an experiment, and they're just you're just feeling your way out, and then you find your real friends, and then you leave them. In my first group of friends, there was this kid, Mike from Staten Island, and he was a really short dude. And for some reason, if he had 2 beers, he would be angry and aggressive and mean, and we called him Beer Muscle. And every morning he'd apologize for the way he behaved. And what it is these Twitter trolls are Mikey from Staten Island. Basically the concept is they have beer muscles. When they are on Twitter, they are empowered to feel that they can go nuts and say crazy things and harass people. They would never do it if they were sober and in public. It's insane.
I saw the best meme about this very topic from the great prophet himself, Mike Tyson. And I believe the quote was, the internet has made you used to talking to people whatever way you want to without having to worry about getting smacked in your fucking mouth for the things you've said. And
right, growing up, we couldn't say anything we wanted because
you get smacked.
Someone might
call you on that. I think the thing about Chris Pratt, and now here's the beautiful thing, right? So you would think, usually you're in this situation, you get put in the island, and you're over there with Hulk Hogan and the guy who played Kramer and Seinfeld. You're never coming back from this type of stuff. Except for Chris Pratt never said anything. Something he
didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. He didn't say anything. The great thing was that his castmates came to his defense. And that's something this is something that really makes me happy, because I know Robert Downey Jr. doesn't believe like Chris Pratt believes, right? But the fact that he's willing to come to his defense and say, hey, you're out of line, you guys are out of line, all you people are out of line, means a lot, because it means that there's some sensibility left in the world.
Well, you know his history.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm saying he was a drug addict. He did time in jail.
Yeah.
He absolutely did time in jail, and so he hates to talk about it. He's walked out of interviews when people talk about his time in jail. They're like, well, you want to talk about that? And he's like, storms off.
Yeah.
So he understands what it's like to be a pariah.
Yeah.
And it's not fucking fun. It's not. And you know what? Even if you're a drug addict stealing things like that, it is not our place to judge Robert Downey Jr.
No.
It's nobody's. But you notice people were attacking them because you realize that they're, this is, I hate to use the word SJW. There's no other word, but
Yeah.
I'm not trying to generalize in anyone because
Yeah.
trust me, I have certain SJW opinions or whatever. What I'm saying is like that they feel like, I mean, like it's just, you know what? I'm not gonna say.
No, I know what you're gonna say. Let me say it for you, right? So when the word the term SJW wasn't always a derogatory term, but it describes a type of people group that took over the social justice movement and became hyper social justice for whatever their motives are, right? We don't know if the true motive is to get Medicaid and Medicare for all, so much as it's the grandstanding or the virtual signaling. But this is something that both sides are guilty of, but something that Chris Pratt himself is not guilty of. You guys are barking up the wrong tree. This is a man who wants nothing to do with any of this stuff. He literally, by all accounts, appears to want to love on people and make fun movies. And you're coming after him. And I'm reminded of the situation with Rose McGowan and friggin' what's this psychopath's name? Used to date Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano. And then Asia Argento, right? So you got Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano. They are the spearheads of the Me Too movement in regards to their Hollywood representation, right? Asia Argento is Dario Argento's daughter. Do you know who this is? She was in that horrible movie Triple X with Vin Diesel. And
I do know who this is. Yeah.
She recently got into some trouble for taking pictures in bed with a castmate of hers who might have been underage. Yeah. She was dating Anthony Bourdain. The world turned on her. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Now, I'm going to leave myself some room to not sound like an asshole here. By all accounts, it turns out that the allegations were false and that none of this stuff that this kid was claiming happened. She did not.
I remember this. I'm actually remembering the scandaling. Now that you're saying it got reversed, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, by all accounts, and if I'm wrong, I am willing to be wrong. Just show me where I'm wrong so I can correct myself. And I'll come back on here next week and say I was wrong. But it turns out she's not guilty of any of that stuff. This kid tried to blackmail her and poor Anthony Bourdain. They paid up like most people in that situation would do, but the mob came after him. And this is what me and Roy are talking about. We're talking about the friggin' mob that comes after people and wants to cancel people. And while you're getting ready to cancel Chris Pratt, you're not looking at the log in your own eyes.
And all it takes is an accusation nowadays to end you, because it'll fly over social media. It'll fly like back in the day. It would never fly like that. But now it's this infectious hate that people have, whether they know the facts or not.
So you know who else used to do stuff like this? 1940s America, when a black man or a black boy was accused of ogling a white woman. Same mentality, but people can't figure it out. It's like you join this mob think and it starts happening. Chris Pratt is someone I really enjoy, man, and I don't think he deserves to trend for these reasons, but at least accuse the man of doing something, right?
Go ahead. Did you hear how they reversed it on his classmates? So no. It's Mark Ruffalo, it's Robert Downey Jr., James Gunn. These people are like the most liberal.
Yeah.
They're super libertarian. Mark Ruffalo spends his weekends freaking going to like protests and stuff and like helping people and like
making butter at home.
Sit in and he brings he brings some muffins. Good guy. People turned on them because they were like, when Brie Larson was getting harassed online, no, you didn't stand up for her.
Yeah. Why was Brie Larson getting harassed online?
Do you remember right before going into Captain Marvel, there was just a lot of the misogynist dudes were like hating on her. Hated her because, like, I don't know why. Why did it happen to her and not Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman? I don't know, man. I don't know why they pick them. Who's getting canceled, destroyed today?
I think it's got a lot to do with people who step into the arena. So I have no problem with Brie Larson. Actually, I have no problem with Captain Marvel. I've rewatched that movie at the behest of my eldest son a few times, and every time I watch it, it gets a little bit better. I'm like, man, I really
opposite opinion.
I'm telling you, it's not a great movie.
I've watched it a couple times, and I've actually literally watched it just for the sake of notes about what should be fixed. And I don't think it's a horrendous movie. A friend of mine said the other day and pointed out, they said it's phase 1 boring.
It's phase 1 boring.
That's phase 1 boring. Boom. That's the best way, because you know how the phase 1 movies were good but not like amazing. Yeah, I'm stealing that. So sorry, Nader. But like, they were good, but they weren't amazing. They weren't phase 3, like phase, what we know Marvel movies to be.
Yeah.
It was a phase 3 movie, but it really felt like a phase 1.
It felt like a movie that the Russo brothers were not involved in. Anything the Russos touch turns to gold. It's got an edgy darkness.
Did you see Extraction?
No, that movie was horrible from what I hear.
I give it an 80.
An 80?
It's good action. Though.
But here's the thing. I agree that Captain Marvel was phase 1 boring. Also, it's Homecoming boring as well. It's very much in line with Homecoming. Like, I know what audience they were shooting for. I think a lot of people came at Brie Larson because, and I'm not saying that she deserves it one way or another, but she stepped into the arena and she expressed opinions and views. And Brie Larson is a capable woman. None of that stuff discourages her. In fact, none of it ever will. You'd have to literally out debate her to make her shut her mouth on a lot of subjects. And I don't think she has to. I think the problem that I see with the whole Chris Pratt situation is, man, like, we want to silence people at the expense of their beliefs, right? So you want to shut this guy up. And basically what you're saying is, I don't want to hear your Christian talk anymore. And I don't think that's fair, because what you're doing is you are now saying, by me coming out the closet, I have to repress another person and put them in the closet. And that goes against your tolerant belief system. Facts. You can't argue it, right? It's like if you're so tolerant, if you're so accepting of other people, you would say, "Que sera, sera. We disagree on this very critical issue to me. I wish you well."
Right. And I want to bring up my a different theory about like what's going on here.
Go ahead.
So so here's what it is. I am under the belief, and I think that like people put a lot of weight into like what's trending on Twitter or what people are canceling on Twitter. Remember, canceling happened on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know any other social media where that like Instagram, I've never been canceled or whatever.
They can't find me. They can't find me to cancel me. Because
and so my understanding of it is that like it's Twitter where all this stuff is happening. However, I am under the belief, I'm going to say this, I believe this is what I call a Twitter mirage. So here's what it is. The question is, you can get canceled. You can be like shit on all the time, right?
Right.
The question is it going to get you fired? Is it going to prevent you from being hired again? Is it going to prevent you from making, right? So an example I'd like to say, and we're going to talk about her, but I don't want to talk about what she's being accused of or anything like that, because the YouTube
algorithm,
grandmasters will get us. But example is J.K. Rowling got super canceled.
Yes.
A couple earlier in the pandemic, like early summer, and it was endless. It was going on for weeks, right?
Yeah.
However, her books are still like number 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 on the best-selling list on Amazon, still continuously, not of all time, but continuously.
Right.
And she still has a movie going forward, and it has not cost her a single dime because all these trolls went. It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right. So my belief is, I have a feeling Jurassic Park or Jurassic World 3 is still going to reach $1 billion.
Yeah.
He's still going to be Star-Lord.
Yeah.
And that it will serve nothing. These kids will get off, because I know they're beating off to canceling people, these sickos. But I don't really think, I think it's a mirage. We think this poor person's in trouble, and it's not really happening.
You know what? I would 100% agree with that, because I don't know if Chris Pratt's sitting in his house like, man, I'm just going to give away the millions at this point. I can't deal with this pressure. But it is a mirage.
Yeah.
But it's a mirage that I feel like needs to be disputed every chance it gets. Every chance I get. Go ahead.
But I'll give you a startling statistic. So only, what is it? It's only 2% of the internet world. And I think a lot of people, especially wealthy people, they think the entire world has the internet. That's actually not true. Not everyone has the internet. Right. But of people who have access to the internet, only 2% of them have Twitter accounts. And of those people, only 20% of them tweet. The other 80% are people who are voyeurs. They watch, and they don't tweet. They're scared of giving.
Yeah.
Just watching. So all the people, this is a small group of people who are super rambunctious on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it makes you think that's what the world is about, but it's actually
no. It's you're talking about the microcosm. You're talking about the friggin' the petri dish, and everything looks big. Everything looks big.
Every post looks like it. Every post looks like you hate Chris Pratt. You think the world hates.
You know what, man? I just finished The Boys, and I think there's a very, very, very good parallel to the character Stormfront and what she does to people. And I actually thought I
love her.
I think they did it massively, because if you didn't catch what they did with her character, they brought in the fact that the Nazis used propaganda. They used it. I'm not going to say they used it.
Masters of propaganda. Oh, yeah.
I don't want the algorithm to come and get us, but they were masters of propaganda, and they knew exactly what to do. And it's funny that she had figured out that some of the best tricks are the old tricks that still work with a new wrapping around them. And she was using meme culture, which is propaganda on steroids, right? And it's right. But when you're sitting around and the algorithm just points you to the same type of thinking people, so you're getting exposed to those same memes that you would necessarily nod your head to, it does seem like a big deal. I always challenge people. I'm like, hey, you know what? If you're going to bash Chris Pratt, why don't you actually look up and see what he believes, right? Be consistent. See if there's actually something on the books of him saying something. Right.
Give me a quote. Give me a quote of him being an a-hole.
Yeah, give me a quote.
I'll put money that he didn't say anything.
You know what, though? But he is still going to be Star-Lord. And you guess what? I'm still going to go see the movies. You know why? Because most of you people still watch Disney flicks, and Walt Disney was a bona fide Nazi sympathizer. I'm not talking about suspected of or alleged ties to. The man had some, Arnold Schwarzenegger's dad too. Do we cancel the Schwarzenegger now? The man's, it's from Austria. If you don't know your history.
I actually, he's actually one of the most fervor, he's super against Proud Boys and all this stuff that's going on. He speaks out about them all the time.
The Proud Boys seem like a group of guys you just want to drink with, right? I feel like we would have ran into them in our Haven days. Just ended up at one of their parties well, this is not cool.
So I'm under the belief that all of this is fake. Yeah. Not just COVID, but the Proud Boys, the presidency. There's no such thing as Donald Trump. It's all. This is basically. I believe that the world is a flat disc on a globe, but it's a flat disc that's only 100 miles. It's only 100 miles. And
so China's a made-up place too.
Yeah, all these things are made up.
So Kung Fu's made up.
There's no such thing as birds. There's no such thing as birds.
No such thing as wushu or kung fu or any of that.
No, none of that. All of that was. I was lied to as a child. And there are no celebrities. The celebrities are fake. Yeah. There's CGI. There's CGIs of porn actors meshed together. And I'm not gonna fall for it anymore. I'm just not gonna fall for it. I'm done with that.
Fanboy Modeling School. Did you like what you heard? Check out the full episode. Just click the link down below. And remember to like, share, and subscribe.